What's up, everyone? This is Nox, and welcome to another build. I, in my insanity, leveled up yet another Elementalist for the second build of the league, and this is Slam, Ignite, Explode. I'm using Ice Crash here, although at this stage of the character you can basically clear using Leap Slam. I'm stacking a bunch of Golems, as you guys can see, and I am just deleting entire screens using two different Foulborn Barrack rings. This is actually way cheaper than getting them on one ring, and I'll go over the gear shortly, but this build has been an absolute joy to play, an absolute joy to put together. Tons of damage, really smooth, buttery clear, very solid single target, decent thickness, decent survivability, and just overall just a treat to play, and I've really enjoyed it, and I just wanted to share it with you guys. It's super awesome. So we have a total of 18 golems. We are stacking Primordial Bond, we are using Dark Monarch here, but this little intro here is just a showcase of, you know, the different MTX and what they look like. In this first little clip here I was using the Celestial Herald of Ash MTX, and then in the second I am using Despair. Despair is pretty crazy. I mean, it kind of overpowers the entire screen. Celestial, I just kind of like the look of it. There's other Herald MPX that you can do, but these two are my favorite, so I wanted to showcase them. They're really awesome. This build's really fun to play, and it was not that expensive to put together. And as always, I will have a shopping list down in the description below, so you guys can put it together yourself on whatever budget you choose. So let's jump into the game here without further ado, and let's talk about the character. So we are a Ignite Elementalist. This is my third Elementalist I've actually made this league, and I'm questioning my sanity, but here we are. We're Ignite Elementalist. We are using Legion of the Primordial, Shaper of Storms, Shaper of Flames, and Mastermind of Discord. So the big explosions and the chaining across the screen comes from these two barracks rings. So I have one that says shocked enemies you kill explode, dealing 6% of lightning damage, which cannot shock. And then I have another one that says ignited enemies you kill explode, dealing 5% of their life as fire damage, which cannot ignite. What's interesting here is the elemental damage catalyst works on this ring and its mod, but not on this ring, because this one has an ailment, not a damage mod. Don't know why. I just thought that was funny. So we're using two of them separately. If you were to get this mod, which you can, on a double Foulborn Barracks Respite, you can have it on one ring, and then you can have a better ring in one of the slots, which is totally fine. But this was a much more budget option, and I'll have the prices of stuff in the description. For our axe, we have a very nice axe. I bought the prefixes. I will show you guys how to actually do that. For the rest of our gear, we have Dark Monarch. So this is, you know, the golem hat, pretty expensive, but doubles our number of golems. We are combining that with Primordial Chain for 3 additional golems. We have 2 more golems here and 1 more golem here on the tree, bringing our total up to 9, and then doubling that to 18. So this build is insane. It has an insane amount of generic damage scaling, using Primordial Bond, which is why these explosions do so well. They do a lot of instant damage, and then they also apply a pretty hefty ignite. So this sort of setup here is a template you can pretty much use for anything. I chose to do slams just because they looked cool. AoE is nice, and also it's one of the best ways to do ignite. I chose to do Ice Crash simply because it converts 100% of our physical damage to cold damage, and we're using Didian Dawn, which says deal no physical damage. So what this allows me to do is benefit from all of the flat fizz that's left over on this axe, and still have that be contributing to the ignite. We have Ice Crash linked to Unbound Ailments, Overexertion, Awaken Burning Damage. I just got this last night. Fist of War support and Cruelty support. Now I need qualities on my gems, and this should be Awaken Unbound Ailments. You could get more total ignite DPS if you were to swap out Unbound Ailments for something like Swift Affliction. However, we do have a lot of increased damage you inflict within knights deals damage faster. We have a lot of that on the tree. We have a lot of that on our jewels. So I opted to go for Unbound Ailments here to keep that nice long ignite. I think in POB we have something like a 6-second ignite, which is very nice. It allows us to, you know, hit a boss, run around dodge mechanics for 6 seconds, and our damage is at its full uptime. The single target rotation for this is a little bit, you know, tricky, fussy, and so I wanted to just quickly talk over that if this is something that you want to play. So we have Fist of War, so that buffs our Ice Crash here. So what we'll actually want to do, we need to go somewhere where the character can start yelling. We have 2 shouts on auto exertion. So these, you know, buff our attacks here. And then we have Fist of War, which, as you can tell, because the tooltip here is red. So what you'll want to do is you'll want to place down your curse or place down your brand that will apply flammability and elemental weakness. And then you will want to Rallying Cry. You will want to press your tincture and probably Cinder Swallow, and then you slam. That's the biggest possible ignite that we have. You can slam again once Fist of War comes back, just to make sure to roll it again. But generally speaking, 1 ignite kills the boss. Maybe you hit it again to get the cruelty buff. Totally fine. That's the single target rotation for clear. And I will show you guys actually in this map. I just finished running that one. So these are 8 mod dunes. This one has 20% more monster life, less effective curses, blah, 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 blah. I'm just going to show you what it looks like to clear with Leap Slam. So our Leap Slam isn't linked to anything. Actually, it's linked to Stone Golem, so that doesn't actually do anything. It is a 1-link Leap Slam, which is why we cannot use... yeah, so no crazy buffs here on our Leap Slam, and you'll see that it kind of handles itself just fine. Again, T16 dunes. I'm not going to do this whole fortress here, but I Leap Slam on 1 enemy and everything dies. Grab a shrine for more zoominess, and you see, like, you will see that I'm not pressing Ice Crash because the buff remains. I'm just running around clearing with Leap Slam. And then we have our boss here. We press our buttons. We apply the ignite. He's got his damage reduction phase, so our ignite might fall off, but it's fine. No headhunter, never lucky. That's the whole rotation of the build. If this is something you want to do, clears the whole screen. I will go over the gear in more detail now. I'm not going to worry about clearing this map. All right, talking about the axe. So this axe is something that you can find relatively easy on trade. Probably not as good of a rule as mine, and not for the price that I got it. Simply because I got super lucky. I found the prefixes with another shitty suffix. It was like mana gained on hit or something like that, or mana gained on kill. This is a T1 lightning, T1 cold, T3 fire. Despot axe, phenomenal. And then I cleaned the suffixes off and put on attack speed and fire damage over time multiplier. The attack speed is not a DPS increase. I needed it for the attributes, but I also needed it just for the comfiness. Having more attack speed makes Leap Slam feel better. And then additionally, you know, just nice and smooth gameplay overall. So how you do that is you can, you know, two-handed axe. And what I did is I put not attack speed. And again, this will be in the description below. I just wanted to point this out because it's something you can do. There's elemental DPS of like 600 or something, so we can quickly sort by it. It has not attack speed. And then you can search by your budget if you want, but if you click on elemental DPS here, you can find things like this is T1, T1, T2 for 3 divines. That's not bad. This one's really good, T1, T3, T2 for 3 divines. This one's 50C. You would have to YOLO a null if it's full. Ideally, if it would have an open or a crafted suffix. So this one is actually a really good example. 2 divines here for something that you can grab. You're essentially buying the prefixes. You remove the crafted mod. Prefixes cannot be changed. Scour, and then you multi-mod. You're good to go. And you have an axe that's absolutely cracked for, you know, what it costs to multi-mod and that. So it's a total of 6 divines. Not that big of a deal. So if you were to look at the cost of my axe as is, it is a 1288 LED PS axe, so just 1250. you're looking at like 10 divines or something like that. If it has fire damage over time multiplier, it's something like 25 divines according to trade. That doesn't necessarily mean anything. You might be able to get it for cheaper, but I know certainly that you can buy something like this one, T1, T2, T4, 20C. You get rid of the suffixes, multi-mod, you're good to go. You have an axe that does 90% of the damage as mine, and you're just absolutely crushing it for barely anything. Any of these axes is fine. I chose a Despot axe because of the higher attack speed. Again, just for comfiness more than anything else. So that is how you do that. I will have trade links to the description below. Anything else that we need to talk about interaction wise? We do have a couple decently expensive jewels. I do have a Sublime Vision for Malevolence. This is just auras increased there, and it also gives us the additional curse. I do have a double Foulborn Fire Song. This is for the dot multi and the duration. Again, nice long ignite, super comfy. The rest of our rare jewels are damage over time multiplier and life. Maybe a little bit of you need a little bit of mana reservation efficiency if you want to copy my tree exactly. I think I have 3% here, and I have 3% here, and that's it for the rest of them. And then the Timeless Jewel. This one I picked up for like 20 chaos. That you don't have to do this specific one. You don't have to do this specific place. But what I was looking for was 2 maximum life rolls, and at least 1 ignites you inflict deal damage 10% faster. There's a website called Timeless Jewel Calculator. You can use it there. And that is that. As far as the build is concerned and the necessary stuff, if you don't like Herald of Ash or you're not into the MTX thing or whatever, Herald of Ash actually isn't doing hardly anything at all other than adding aesthetics. It's not really providing a ton of damage. It's, 20% of Fizz is extra fire, but we're not scaling a Fizz weapon, so it's barely any additional damage. It's really just for vibes. It's honestly just for vibes. You could entirely drop Herald of Ash, and then throw another, war cry in your auto exertion, and you would actually have way more single target damage. And that might be something you want to do. You could drop Herald of Ash because, again, you'll see our socket pressure is pretty high here. And just, fit faster attacks in with Leap Slam, something like that. I will note the other thing you need is you do need a Primordial Chain with Malevolence as a corrupt. That is very important. Otherwise you cannot fit it into the setup, because you will notice all of my sockets are full. If you drop a curse, you could fit it in there. If you drop Herald of Ash, you could fit it in there. You could drop the cast when damage taken Molten Shell, and that works too. All options. And then additionally, on our graphs here, I have one Molten Zophgraft. This one gives us a pretty hefty shield. It's a shield for over our total life pool every time we're missing life, so that's very nice. And it also has the damaging ailments, deal damage 10% faster, as well as some increased armor. And then we are getting the Flamecaller Zophgraft. This one is less important. I have Fire Res on mine just because it helps me cap out res with all these uniques that we're using. You'll see my res is overcapped here, and this helps. But this also, this Call the Pyre covers enemies in Ash on hit, so that's how we're getting that while still using these 2 rings. Alternatively, if you didn't want to use this, you had a really expensive double Foulborn Ferrix Respite. I think they're like 50 divines or something like that, something pretty hefty. You could use like a Polaric Devastation to get covered in Ash as well. Anything else to talk about? We are getting ailment avoidance using the boots. So we got 41% on the implicit, 59% from the essence craft on the boots. And then we are using Storm Shroud, which is right here, to make you ailment immune. That is the build. POB will be in the description below. I hope you guys really enjoyed. I've been loving this. It's been absolutely amazing. It's been my favorite build this league. I hope you guys give it a try. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.